Senator Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. During his farewell address, President George Washington issued the following advice to the citizens of the United States of America. Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest props of the duties of men and citizens. The mere politician, equally with the pious man, ought to respect and cherish them. A volume could not trace their connections with private and public felicity. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths which are the instruments of investigation in courts of justice? And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. Yet in today's America, reason and experience are being ignored as religious principles are being systematically excluded from the public square. A startling example of this purge occurred in my district less than a year ago. A young man by the name of Clay Martin routinely led the Pledge of Allegiance at Plymouth High School. In the wake of the mass shooting in Orlando by Omar Mateen, in which 49 people were killed and 53 others were injured, Clay was moved to ask for a moment of silence. You see, we can't even ask for prayer anymore. After the moment of silence, he simply said, "May God bless the United States, and may God bless you all." In the wake of this statement, Clay was told by his principal that he could no longer make references to God and would have to get any further announcements or future announcements approved in advance. So much for the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. Sadly, this infringement upon our First Amendment rights is not limited to our schools. The muzzle on our rights has been extended to our churches as well. And last week, I introduced Senate Bill 269 to remove a disgraceful section of Michigan election law that criminally penalizes religious leaders for speaking on election-related topics, whether they do so inside or outside of the church. Under current law, pastors are guilty of a misdemeanor subject to a $500 fine and/or 90 days in jail for such actions. Religious leaders are the only people singled out under MCL 168.931. for speaking out on such topics, meaning that they can go to jail for saying things that everyone else can say without any consequences whatsoever. This section of law violates our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, and it even violates our freedom of assembly, just for good measure. The current law has been challenged in the past by Dr. Levon Ewell, pastor of the Bible Church in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Pastor Ewell is also the national director of the National Black Pro-Life Caucus. In 2012, the American Freedom Law Center filed a civil rights lawsuit in the U.S. District Court in Detroit, challenging this provision of Michigan's election law and asking for an injunction. The Sixth Circuit Court denied AFLC's petition, which requested a full court review. The attempted purge of religious principles has also been extended to public bodies, such as the one in which we meet on a regular basis. In May of 2014, the Supreme Court ruled by a narrow 5-4 margin that it was still okay for legislative bodies to open their meetings in prayer. Thank you, Supreme Court. Really appreciate that. It is clear that if we do not defend our rights, such as our First Amendment rights to freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of assembly, we will lose them. The first of these enshrined rights is our freedom of religion. And we need to heed the sage words of our first president. Reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. May God bless the United States, and may God bless you all.